The New York Jets keep making moves, as just this afternoon we have made an impact signing that will affect how the season's going forwards, as well as a couple more moves made yesterday as we shape up the roster for what is going to be going into week 2, and we got to break it all down. So what's up, guys? I'm Matt Long. Welcome to Jets Digest. Before we hop into the video for today, only 30.7% of viewers are subscribed to the channel. If you are not subscribed, please take a second, hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out a ton. But hopping into the news for this afternoon, coming from New York Jets insider Rich Cimini, New York Jets roster moves, signed running back / kick returner Quinnen Robinson to the practice squad. Happens to be a kickoff returner. Jets kickoff returner Quinnen Williams is dealing with a hamstring injury. Robinson was a 5th round pick by Jacksonville in 2024. Running back Lawrence Toafili is cut from the practice squad in a corresponding move. So, you may know Quinnen Robinson as the other Robinson at running back at Texas from a couple years ago. Bijan was the starter. Rashawn Johnson was there as well. But Quinnen Robinson was also on that team, working in a little bit, getting some touches. We know the kick returner position is very important. Some people think it's not, but just last week, our kick returner cost us the entire game when Gibson decided to fumble the football against the Pittsburgh Steelers. We have to make sure that we have a quality kick returner in there. This year, after they moved the touchback spot from the 30 to the 35-yard line, there was a significant uptick in kickoffs returned in week 1 of the NFL. Expect that trend to move forward. Your kickoff return man, he matters now. There are going to be a ton of returns going down. Quinnen Williams was signed early last season to make a difference as a kick returner, and I think it's been a very solid kick returner so far for the New York Jets. The problem is he's injured right now, which is what caused us to unfortunately have to put in Xavier Gipson, where that mistake was made on Sunday. But now we're going to have another player who can sub in to go for the kickoff returns. If you're wondering why, you may think it used to be the short, shifty guys returning kicks, but now we are pivoting to using more running backs instead of the smaller, skinnier wide receivers. It's because the new kickoffs, when everyone starts standing still, they're blocked more like run plays, and they want to get running backs in to execute these run plays instead of the smaller, shiftier guys. That's why you'll see all around the NFL, a lot more teams are pivoting towards these bigger running backs to run these kickoff returns instead of those really, the Deshaun Jackson type, Devin Hester type of the past. Of course, I'm not saying Devin Hester wouldn't be a starting kickoff return man if he was in the league right now. I'm just saying people aren't looking for that mold anymore when it comes to kickoff returning. Lawrence Toafili was a running back from the University of Florida State. He was a little bit undersized, made some nice plays in the preseason, earned himself a spot on the practice squad, did not do enough to stick around. The same thing can be said for every running back that signs to the New York Jets. It's a really tough running back room to make when you were rolling out Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, and Isaiah Davis as your top 3 guys. There's only room for one more spot on the active roster, and it's going to go to our kick returner, whoever that is, whether it's Quinnen Williams or if it's going to be now Quinnen Robinson to fill in for Quinnen Williams, should Quinnen Williams not be available versus the Buffalo Bills for next Sunday. Now, undersized running backs, they don't really last long in the league. Yeah, usually you're looking for guys that are pretty heavy. Lawrence Toafili was unfortunately not heavy enough to be that guy for the New York Jets on the practice squad. But also what the New York Jets went ahead and did, they signed Tyler Johnson officially to this depth chart for good. He's going to stick around. He only caught 2 passes in the first game versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, but the Jets have decided that they've seen enough from him and that our wide receiver room is shallow enough that they want to go ahead and sign him to a longer deal. I agree with it. The stats weren't amazing, but I do feel like I enjoyed what I saw out of him. Sports Illustrated had more to say on the matter, writing, the Minnesota product was originally selected by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the 5th round of the 2020 NFL Draft. A final cut by Tampa Bay in August of 2022. He signed with Houston for the 22 season, was waived in October, and returned to the Bucs via their practice squad. After a brief offseason stop with Las Vegas, he signed with the LA Rams for 2023-24. Johnson has played in 49 NFL games and has 76 receptions for 828 yards, almost 11 yards per catch at 10.9 yards per catch, and 4 touchdowns across 5 seasons. Got it? Good. That's a lot to say about this guy. He's been a journeyman wide receiver. You know, he's not going to light the world on fire. Don't expect that. But what he can do is just give us another guy with sure hands, just another option in the wide receiver room. That's a position where you're going to need depth. You're going to roll out your backup wide receivers as special teams guys as well. So we need to make sure that we are keeping guys fresh, and we want to make sure that we are just bringing in as many guys as possible. Make sure we have depth at that position. And speaking of another position where we are going to need to have depth is going to be the offensive line. The New York Jets signed another player to the practice squad, and this player is going to be Liam Fornadell. Coming from Sports Illustrated, Fornadell, 6'4", 312 pounds, was signed by the Jets in July and appeared in all 3 preseason games for the Green and White before he was waived in August. It's not the craziest move in the world, but at least it is a sign that the Jets like what Johnson has been able to show for the team, and so far are committed to him, at least in the short term. So, actually, they made a little bit of a mistake there. They're talking about Tyler Johnson with that second line, but Liam Fornadell is a guard being signed by the New York Jets. Another opportunity to get deeper at a position where we need depth. The Elijah Vera Tucker injury left us more shallow than you would like to see at the offensive line, specifically the guard position. Liam Fornadell, just another guy who can give us depth at a position where it matters. We want to make sure we don't run out of offensive linemen. Excuse me. We know what that looks like. We saw that a couple of years ago. We saw that last season when a ton of guys get hurt. It's never a good sign for the quarterback, for the offense. You just don't want to see that happen. So it is a good thing to sign a player like this. In other, news with the New York Jets offensive line, Armand Memba was graded out by Pro Football Focus as the #1 tackle in the entire NFL Week 1. Absolutely awesome to see. If you watched that Steelers game closely, there were some plays where he had TJ Watt on the ground and he was laying on top of TJ Watt. It was awesome to see. A very, very highly impactful performance. Very, very positive. Love to see that out of Armand Memba. That's why you go out in the top 10 and take a right tackle. Some people are telling me that it's not enough of an impact position. Those people are absolutely crazy. They have no idea what they're talking about. The people who want tight ends over a tackle don't know what they're talking about when it comes to football. Tyler Warren, he had a pretty good debut for the Indianapolis Colts, but Tyler Warren can't block TJ Watt. We found the guy who could. It unfortunately was not enough to get the win versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, but we're going to see what we have going forwards in Justin Fields. Overall positive debut for Justin Fields against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Going to be something to build off of, and whether it is Justin Fields going forwards or a different quarterback going forwards, we already know that we have our bookend tackles going forwards for him. Look at the Houston Texans. They got a great quarterback in CJ Stroud. Doesn't matter. The dude can't throw the ball because he's getting hit on every single play. This game of football is won and lost in the trenches. You got to make sure you have a great offensive line. The same thing can be said for the Cincinnati Bengals. Only were able to put up 17 points versus the Cleveland Browns. Extremely underwhelming, and it's because their offensive line couldn't block. It's because the Cleveland Browns have Myles Garrett coming off the edge and Mason Graham blowing up double teams up the middle. When someone's double teamed, they better be handled. I don't care, unless it's prime Aaron Donald. But everyone in the league right now better be handled by a double team block, and that's what our offensive line is going to do because we have invested properly in the offensive line. You don't nickel and dime your offensive line. You don't go, we can get a right tackle in the 3rd round. No, you don't. The most important positions, you don't mess around. You go get the quarterback at the top of the 1st round. You don't wait to take your favorite sleeper in the 5th round and hope he works out. You see the guy you want at the position you need, make sure you go out and get him. Speaking of positions that we need, in terms of receiving yards, we still would like to get deeper at the wide receiver position. Tyler Johnson was the 2nd most productive wide receiver in terms of yards after Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson should have an 8 in the receptions column, but I wish he hung on to that football. Would have loved to stick it to Aaron Rodgers. Darren Mougey, no doubt he is not done making moves for this football team. We know he is always looking everywhere for little ways to make improvements, and we still really should get a wide receiver involved in this offense. Another guy coming in. I don't think it's going to be someone as good or as flashy as an acquisition of a Jacoby Myers caliber player. It's probably going to be someone worse than that, but I do have confidence that after what we saw from Justin Fields, I do think this front office is going to say, Justin Fields looked better than we thought he would. Let's go out and let's acquire a better wide receiver too, who can give him a real chance to show that he can be that guy long term. Let's get this question answered. The most important part of the season is, can Aaron Glenn implement a new culture, and is Justin Fields going to be the future of the New York Jets? It could be yes or no to both of those questions, or to either of those questions, but it can't be I don't know. We have to know what the answer is to those two questions so we know exactly what direction this team needs to go in the future, and I'm going to be here breaking it all down in the future. So if you have watched this far into the video, thank you for watching. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel, and go Jets.